with Bolan-Beaty Boogie. We've been getting some requests from viewers if we could do celebrity interviews like we used to do before we were doing the videos. And so I asked Mark, how do you feel about that? And he's like, that's fine with me. So as soon as I asked him that, James Dean popped in my head, or my space. And Mark knows him. And so I said, well, will he come on the show? And Mark's like, yeah, I think so. And then I said, well, can we get Marilyn Monroe? And he just started laughing, and he said, oh, she is so tired of talking about Marilyn Monroe. And I thought, oh, okay, I get that. But as soon as I said that as well, her energy, I could see her energy. And it's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen spirit energy like that before. It's so bright, it's so big, it's so strong. It's white with kind of yellow on the edges, and it's just this huge burst of wonderful energy. And I thought, okay. And I thought, well, if she's not coming on the show, why am I seeing her space so predominantly? And Mark said, well, it's not like she won't come on the show. It's just that she's really tired of talking about Marilyn Monroe. So I said, okay, well, whatever. But then the next day she was still around, and that's what happens when you do these interviews. You have the celebrity interview spirit energy in your space for a couple of days until you do the interview. So I've had James Dean with me and Marilyn. James Dean is kind of in the shadow. He was kind of in the shadows the past couple of days, where he'd step out for a second and then go back in the shadows. And I think even though he knows Mark, I don't think I know him, or if I do, not well, or at least he doesn't know me as this physical Diane. So he's been going back and forth in the shadows, and I think he's just trying to suss me out and decide whether or not he really wanted to work with me. And then Marilyn's just been bright and wonderful the whole time. And last night I was like, well, I was talking to Mark, and I was like, yeah, I think they're going to do the show, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like thinking to myself later on, I was like, so when did James Dean die? I knew it was in the 50s, and all of a sudden 1955 pops in my head, and I was like, okay, thanks for that. And then when but I looked up the date just to confirm it, and it said he died on September 30th. And I was like, well, that's Mark's birthday. So I thought, well, there's a connection. And I said, well, I was thinking to myself, well, he was really young, I know, when he died. And I was thinking he was more like 27 or something. But then 24 popped in my mind. And I was like, oh, okay, then. And then I looked, and it was 24. So Spirit's so helpful with stuff like that. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. The interviews that we did, it was really great to have them in my space or in my vicinity for the last couple of days. And it's really interesting, I think, to see how similar spirits are compared to their physical beings or persons, and then also how different they can be as well. So hope you enjoy the show, and we'll see you soon. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yep. This is Mark. Welcome to the show. Yeah. So we have some special guests for today. Yeah. Oh, right. I have to introduce myself. If you don't know me, I am, well, Spirit Mark right now, but you may have known me as Marc Bolan of the rock band T-Rex. Pretty great band. Okay, yeah, and I've got some friends here in the studio with me. So, yeah, let's get started with the show. Yeah, because our guests have been waiting. Yeah. So you know them, very famous guests from the movies. Yep, from film. Yeah. So let's see. Well, no, they're both here. Well, they're interesting. Yeah, very different spirits. Okay, very different energies, and it may surprise you that they're well, similar and different than they were in the physical lives. Okay, so let's welcome our guests. Okay, on the left here we have James Dean, film actor. Yep. Yeah, hello. Are you here? Yep. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So he's showing himself very casually, okay? Casually sitting in a chair and you are, it looks like you're smoking a cigarette. Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah, right. Okay, he's just nodding. Okay. Yeah. No. Well, there's an air of, not indifference, but an air of, yeah, let's see if we can get to that. Okay. Yeah. Cause, well, yeah. It's always important to, kind of check out the vibe of the room and the guests to see, where they're at. Right. And then they can, well, yeah. I give my opinion when I'm reading. And then they can chip in or chip in. No, I don't get well. And let us know what they're thinking. Okay. Yeah. And on the right, yep. A very bright light. Okay. Yeah. And how would you like to be? Yeah. You were Marilyn Monroe in that physical life, but you would rather. Yeah. You want to. Yeah. You're going by Norma Jean. That is okay. So you're saying that's who you were. Okay, and we'll get into that. Yeah, Marilyn was a complete fabrication. And yeah. So let's just start this, okay? Yeah, so, yeah, we haven't done a lot of interviews lately. Yeah, but we have some viewers who would like to see more of them. So, yeah. And, well, I've known James Dean. Yeah, and yeah, of course, yeah. I was a big fan of yours when I was Marc. Oh, yeah, yeah, and, yeah, Diane found out something interesting. Yeah, you were actually born, you passed over on my birthday. Yeah, and I was very aware of that as Marc. Yeah, so it was a connection that I felt that yeah that I had with you. But you did pass over when I was very young. But I was a big fan of your work. And I'll get into that a little bit more. And then Marilyn, of course. Well, I mean, there's nothing that really needs to be said. Well, from a public point of view. Yeah. And we'll talk about that as well. Okay. So, yeah. So let's just start with this. Okay. Let's just start. I'm going to ask both of you. Okay. Now, you've been away from the physical for a while. And yeah, I don't think we have time to go in if you're in another physical life right now, but if that's important to you, then let us know. But we're here to, for you, yeah, for both of you to talk about whatever you might want to say about those physical lives. And yeah, because you've obviously influenced a lot of people. You still have many fans. Obviously, you're both icons in the Earth physical world. And well, let's just start there. Is that important to either one of you? And do you think about it? Well, yeah, I talked about my feelings about being Marc, but let's hear from you guys. Yeah, gals and guys. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's start with yeah, James. Let's start with you. Okay. Yeah. Well, you're a little more hesitant to be at this interview. So is that a better place to start? Why is that? Because you're well, yeah. Okay, so he's saying that is true. That is true. Because he's a very private spirit, a private individual, okay? And he said, oh yeah, he said obviously he's appearing as the energy that used to be, that was physical James Dean, but obviously he's not that person anymore. So he's a spirit collaboration of sorts. But he said in general, he is a very quiet, private individual. And he was that as James Dean as well. So he wasn't into so much, the fame part of it. He really wanted to be a good actor. And that's what was important to him. And he treasured close friends who were loyal to him, right? Yeah. And he said that's still true today. That's still true today. Okay. So what about, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe we should talk to Norma Jean about that too. Okay. Did you have any opinions about that? She's saying very much the same thing. Very much the same thing. Yeah, she said she was around for a little bit longer than James. And obviously, well, she feels things got pretty much out of control, where she didn't even have, a private life. And she was, yeah, and she's just wondering, are women today treated any different? She said, to some degree, to some degree. They're still projected as an object of desire, obviously, and fantasy land, she's saying. But she too. Okay, well, let me just ask you this, because, yeah, at some point, yeah, was there a conscious decision that, okay, I'm in order to be famous, in order to do what I want to do, yeah, it's going to have to be on, yeah, the blonde, sexy image, yeah, the starlet. She said, she said she knew what she was doing. Obviously, she knew what she was doing, and back then, especially, it was, you were going to get maybe ahead faster and get noticed more if you were attractive, especially a blonde. Yeah. And you were, yeah. So she said it was difficult for her at times because she had created this persona. And I should say I created Marc Bolan. Yeah, he was a persona too. And sometimes it's actually more comfortable to be in that persona. But yeah, let me just check with Marilyn here. Was it more comfortable? And she said, well, she was a private person too. So if she went out in public, she went out as Marilyn Monroe. She didn't really go out as Norma Jean. So much like an actor, when you face the public most of the time. And yeah, and she's saying nowadays everything about celebrities is very well known. And you know, she did have some PR people and some studios that yeah, but they worked within their own interests. They didn't really work within hers. She was a commodity. She was a commodity. Yeah, and we've heard that from a lot of celebrities in the past, right? So she said obviously she knew that she was transforming herself into Marilyn on the screen and when she went out in public. But it does get to be overwhelming because she's saying, yeah, and this is true sometimes, you don't know what it's like to be famous until you actually are, and to the degree that she was. And then it kind of overwhelms you, takes over, and you have no type of private life, and so you can't go out really. And it's a sort of a, yeah, she said it's a burden in a way. But, and so so she's saying she wished that she could have done the work and not had so much thrust upon her. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so that's a little bit about how you felt about being icons, really. Okay, and they're saying I can stop saying the icons? Okay, yeah, because, yeah, they both have kind of, well, I don't mind being, well, it sounds kind of arrogant, doesn't it? But I did enjoy being famous as Marc. I didn't really have a problem with that. I really didn't mind it. But other people I know, yeah, have had, yeah, when they think back on it or when they were leading that life, it was harder than they thought it was going to be. Yeah, so, okay, so, yeah, hold on, what? Oh, okay, yep. Okay, so, okay, James, now, you left young too. You left very early in that life, okay? Much like I did, even younger than I did. Right. Okay, so, yeah, and I know because I know you, that is something you do as well. There are some spirits who come down, do their thing like I did, and then and then move on. Physical lives are great, and they're amazing, and you can be really creative, and you can make an impact. But sometimes, yeah, certain spirits do. Yeah, and Marilyn, well, you left what, 36, right? 36. So you were young too. Okay, yeah, and well, is there in general, yeah, there's been a lot of very famous people who leave. Yeah, and can you talk about that? Yeah. I mean, I know from my point of view and others whom I've spoken to, yeah, what that means for them. But would you mind discussing that? Okay, yeah, James. Okay. He said, yeah, you feel that you don't do, oh, no, so he's saying sometimes he does do, longer physical lives. For James, he could have decided to stay. So he had some, what they call, exiting points, where, but, yeah, he said he did lead a very fast life. Okay. He did lead a very fast life there. He was doing a lot. So he's saying energetically, he was doing a lot. He's not talking about necessarily, well, it was a fast-paced life, he's saying. It was a fast-paced life. But that's who he is sometimes. You seem very calm right now. But, oh, he said, yeah, I am. And it's not like he couldn't be as James either. But, oh, yeah, so she's saying he burnt through a lot of energy in that life. And that's his quote, unquote. He burnt through a lot of energy in that life. So it's basic, yeah, okay. So he's saying, yeah, you bring a certain amount of energy down when you're a spirit. And you just really burnt through it really, really, really fast. And it was going to be, it's not like you couldn't recharged it, but there was kind of, you're kind of showing empty space. So there wasn't really enough or any energy that you could pull from at that time to kind of continue that life. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. Yeah, it was, yeah. And I'm not seeing that very often. So this is kind of unusual. As Mark, no, it was, oh, right. So you're saying it was maybe not planned. That part wasn't planned. That part wasn't planned, that you were going to burn through the energy that you allotted for that life so quickly. And because you're showing me to be a very, very intense person, very bright, intellectual person. And you're with the reading a lot. Yeah, so you're saying that you were very influenced by a lot of authors, and yeah, you're just showing us that you were very learned. You were very, and he's saying not necessarily in the educational or formal way. You were very much a person of intuition. You were very much a person of, yeah, and you didn't trust very quickly. Yeah, and once somebody had your trust, it was very deep. It was very deep. And so you were very, and you really appreciated loyalty in your friends. Yep. Yeah, and he's saying there's a lot of, he did have some, yeah, you're showing me with, especially personal relationships, you're showing me, no, we don't go into personal relationships too much, but he's just saying that there was a lot of, he felt injustice with how society was. And, and you did have some heartbreaks in that life. So he's saying it was a very, very, very extreme life. You basically burnt yourself out. Okay. And yeah, thank you very much. Okay. And Marilyn, did you want to add any? Marilyn. Oh, Norma Jean. Oh, she's laughing. Okay. Yeah. Well, I knew you as Marilyn. Yeah, I knew you as Marilyn, but okay. Yeah. No, she's laughing. Do you have anything to add to that? She's saying, well, they're both very similar in a way. They both, you enjoyed your privacy, but you really didn't get much of it. And yes, it was overwhelming for you. What did you think about, okay. Yeah, she's saying, yeah, so she's saying, yeah, you just don't understand how things are going to happen necessarily if you're not famous. And so, yeah, and she's saying that James feels the same way about that. So she's saying that things might have been a little bit different for her. She's saying that it was overwhelming for her as well. She really wanted to be a good actress, but she said she wasn't she was a very strong woman, very, very strong woman, but emotionally, she she was very sensitive. Okay, so you're saying you were very, very, very sensitive. You were a strong woman. And she's saying that, yeah, a lot of, yeah, some of the writings about her would reflect the fact that maybe she was weak or she was very fragile. And she's saying, as no, the spirit you are showing now, yeah, who you are now is not that. No. But you're saying Marilyn was actually, I'll just call her Marilyn. Yeah, Marilyn, because we're talking about the persona. Yeah, Marilyn was very, she was a strong, independent woman in a way, okay? But emotionally, yeah, so you're saying emotionally you could be, because you were very sensitive, okay? You were a very sensitive person. So emotionally you could be not damaged so much, but hurt, okay? So you're saying you were fragile in the emotional way. Yeah, in an emotional sense, because yeah. And she said that's one of the reasons she came down. She didn't have a family life, and that really did have an effect on her as an adult. And yeah, but no. She's saying that's what she came down here to experience. And look what she did. Look what she did with her life. And so she's saying she was very fortunate. She came from really nothing of a background, really, no family, no money. Yeah, she's saying that back then, women, it was harder for a woman to kind of make it on her own. She said she was still in the studio system, but she did have a lot of men around her, either husbands or some type of manager type, who, yeah, and she said it didn't always obviously work out. It didn't always work. She was, yeah, that's what, okay. She really was kind of looking for the knight in shining armor. And she didn't find it. She didn't find that person, okay? She could find aspects in certain people that she was with, but not as a whole, And then she understood, and she understood it. Well, she understood, but especially when she got back into spirit, that concept or that person just doesn't really exist on a whole. It's kind of a fabrication, right? I mean, you can get aspects, but yeah, she was looking for strength in a person that maybe in certain aspects she didn't feel that she had. She was looking for it in somebody else. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So she was saying that was an experience. But she's saying nowadays women have, it can be the same. It can be the same. To get ahead, you might have some very let's see, determined people out for whatever to exploit you. But she's saying she feels like there's a lot more empowered women who can be who they want to be and not necessarily rely on the men around them. Yep. So she's saying now would be a better time, but she did pick when she did to be Marilyn. Right. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about who you are now. Okay, because because I'm different. Okay, I have a lot of traits as Marc Bolan. A lot of things that Marc valued, and a lot of his personality traits, of course, I still have in spirit, but I'm not him. And so, so if people come and watch the show and they're like, oh, it doesn't, sometimes, but that's why, because you're not going to pop back into spirit and be exactly who you were in that physical life. Right. Because it is like another persona that you're putting on. So, okay, so what are you doing in spirit? Let's start with James. What are you doing in spirit? Okay, so you're an author. You are an author. Okay, yeah. And when we talk about authors in spirit, is it a lot different than an author in the physical? No. He said, obviously he's not writing with a physical pen and paper or on a computer or anything like that. It's a little different. It's different. It's more, it's mental. It's, So, there are like libraries, repositories, but it's all telepathic. He said you can get, so he's showing like scrolls, and I've seen, and music is kind of like this as well, but it's more instantaneous where you can download the information and then have it, versus having to read it. Does that make sense? Yep. So you're an author. Now, yeah, because we have talked to, like, yeah, Vivian Lee, who was an actress, and she is still working with, yeah, because there are plays, okay, where, yeah, the Roman, yeah, where do you think all that came from, okay? Again, a lot of this is based in spirit and then comes down to the physical. So there are plays. Do you write plays? Do you write musicals? What are you doing? Or just books? He said, you're more a book, a fiction, or no, he's saying, yeah, you can write fiction. You do base a lot of it actually on who you are. Yeah, so he's saying that he can have a fictional character. Some authors will not put any of their traits into it, their personal traits. He will. He likes to explore. You like to explore. Well, yeah, there's no physical aspects in spirit, but of course we have our own environment. It's just not a 3D physical environment. So you're saying you do. So yeah, you're showing me watching, and he's, oh yeah, and he's saying that's what actors do a lot too. So that's a trait that he brought down for James Dean. Yeah, sometimes you hold back who you are and just kind of go. And he's saying that's what he does. He's kind of in the shadows. If you want to think of him, he'll be standing in the shadows and watching the world around. Now, yeah, and because you're more of a solitary spirit, much as I am too. He's saying it's not that he's necessarily not joining in. He's joining in the way that he wants to. Right. And it's not that. Yeah, he's saying he doesn't. He's not as out there as other spirits are. Okay, so you're an author. And you do some plays. Some books have been made into plays. Would you act again? He's no. Not in the spirit. No. Not in spirit. You are not an actor. You are not. Yeah, you will write the material, and So he's saying, of course, he's had acting experience because that's what he brought down for James Dean. But right now, he's more interested in being the creator of the work that the actors do. Okay. Yep. And you are having. Yeah. So he's saying, yeah, a play is being put on from one of your works right now, and that's what you're working on right now. Yep. But you're very much behind the scenes, and you're comfortable right now. And he's saying that could change, but that's where you are right now, and you're very much enjoying it. Okay, being that type of creator. Okay, great. Okay, and then Norma Jean, what are you doing? Yeah, well, I have to, yeah, let's just bring that up, and I think Diane's probably going to mention this as well. You have an amazing light. I rarely see light as bright as yours. Yeah, and it's just flowing. Yeah, flowing. Emanating. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the words don't come out of this body. So yeah, she goes, that's just who I am. That's who I've always been. Oh, and she's saying, yeah, that's what a lot of actors need, because when they get down to the physical, that's kind of the light that's what, and she's saying it does make you stand out. Okay, it does make you stand out when you're bright, light and spirit. It does shine through. Now she keeps, so you keep bringing up the photos of Marilyn where you looked sad, where you looked unhappy, and she's saying that's not who she is in spirit at all. No. She wants to really stress this, because she's very happy. You're very, very, very creative. And what are you doing now? Okay, so she's saying, so she's saying she's very much into the female. Yeah, female, but in general, anybody, any spirit. Well, because in spirit, well, you could be either one, but you could be none. Yeah, you could not. Yeah, and that's, well, yeah. So she's, what? Yeah. So she's saying, and there are a lot of, the trans people on Earth. So she's saying, she's very, 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 very supportive, and she's working with identity. Yeah. So she's saying not so much in spirit with the gender identity, but who you want to be as a spirit. So you're kind of saying, like, you're a bit of a counselor in a way, a bit of a counselor. She's saying spirits who, and she said this does flow down to the physical as well, because everything from spirit flows down to the physical. But she's saying, okay. So she's saying she does help spirits and individuals. It doesn't matter who you are, with finding out who you are and who you want to be as an individual. And that was very, 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 very paramount to her physical life as Marilyn. And she did that because that's her work in spirit, and she wanted to experience what it would be like to have a physical life, or a life where maybe that was not so strong. Yeah, where that she wanted to uncover that for herself, because it's something that she does, and she knows a lot about it in spirit. So she wanted to come down and pretty much be a blank slate and do what. Yeah. So you kind of turn the tables on yourself, is what you did. Right. So it's very interesting. Let's talk a little bit about the work that you do then. So let's say I'm a spirit. So you are kind of a guide. So, and you do, she's saying she doesn't work necessarily with an individual and see them through a life. What she does is, it's kind of like a classroom situation where spirits or individuals, maybe they're planning a physical life and they want some advice, or they want some suggestions, or somebody who can help them about, okay, well, if I come down as this, what can I maybe hope to do or not? If they have a goal that they want to reach, what would be the best type of maybe background, person, gender, financial situation, all of that, because you went from one, so she's saying she went from one extreme to another in a lot of parts, or a lot of aspects of her life as Marilyn. And so this is something that she's very experienced in, and this is her work. So you're helping spirits plan lives, and you're also helping spirits who with their daily lives as well. Who want to create aspects of themselves, and they're looking for a way to do it. Yeah. So that's great. That's very, 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 very interesting. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I think our time's running a little bit, short here. I think we need to wrap up. So is there anything else that either of you would like to say, maybe to our viewers? James, did you have anything? He's saying not really. He's saying, well, he knows that he's still, his movies are still viewed. He's still considered a very popular actor, and he does, so he appreciates that, especially as he's been gone for so long. So he does appreciate that. And that's about it. That's about all. Yeah. He's saying, he's saying if people in the physical have a chance, go back to reading books. Maybe try reading some books, or reading, doing some more reading, and because so he's saying there's a lot of different viewpoints that you can get, and to experience things. He's saying maybe you're in a certain life and you work. You have a life maybe, and learning from the past. So he's saying you might not be able to get out and experience a lot of things. Maybe you go to work, maybe you're busy, blah, blah. But if you read, okay, even if it's a work of fiction, you're going to have somebody else's thoughts, viewpoints, experiences, or nonfiction, whatever you're reading, okay? Somebody else has written that down, okay? And so you're taking in their viewpoints or their ideas. And he's saying that's invaluable. It's invaluable, and it's really, really important to continue to do that. Okay, what about music? Do you think like music would be the same? He's saying to him it's not. Music can be very emotional. It can be very, but for him, the word, you're saying the word as humans would see it. So the word, thoughts, that is, at least for him, a more emotional experience, more how he feels he would like to communicate. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, and then Norma Jean, yeah, anything that you would like to say? Oh, okay, yeah, that brings, yeah. Yeah, so she's saying, yeah, it's reminding me of our interview with John Wayne. Yep, don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, so you're saying, yeah, you were nothing like Marilyn Monroe, and you weren't really as Norma Jean either. Yeah, that was all a persona, and that's not who you are in spirit at all, at all. Well, she's saying she is very, yeah, you know, yeah. You're saying parts of you're still very sensitive. You're very strong, and you're very emotional, but in a very empowered way. Okay, so certain aspects of Marilyn and Norma Jean you still hold, but being in the spotlight, no, she doesn't, no. And the sadness, okay, so that's what you're saying. That's what you're, okay, yeah, that's it. That's what you want to bring out. The sad images that you often see, and yeah, and she said that's, no, that's not who she is now. No. That's not who she ever was in spirit. But she wanted to experience that because it is opposite of who she is in spirit. So yeah, so she's saying if you see an image of Marilyn, just think back maybe to this interview that that's not who she is in spirit. She's not sitting somewhere being unhappy or crying or whatever. That's not who she is. She's very, very happy. She's very happy in her work. She has lovely a family, and so you can be a lot different in spirit than you were in a physical life. But but in physical life, that's what is usually remembered. Right. Okay. Well, yeah. So let's wrap it up here. Yeah, I'd like to thank both of my guests, James and Norma Jean, for coming on the show. And I think it's very important. It's very important for spirits to talk, and that's what Diane and I try to do. A lot of bring information from spirit to those still in the physical, because it is connected. It is very, very, very much connected. And the lives that you're leading right now can be completely different, or usually it's similar. Usually some aspects are similar, but it can be a lot different than what you're actually living in spirit. Okay, thanks very much, and we'll be back on the show soon.